Hello, everyone. My name is Drinks Blue, and welcome to tonight's showcase of the Paladin Cup featuring Beauty and Discovery and Giran. But first, allow me the wonderful pleasure of introducing Deathlike on commentary with me tonight. Deathlike, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
Doing all right. Had uh, had fun playing with this flag set for a little bit. I mean, it's not too different from what the recent tourney, but it's certainly favorable to our beginner runners, or we're obviously having some veteran runners run this, but this is a pretty straightforward flag set. I kind of like it. That I think it's should be interesting, at least when we play this out.
Yep. We do have two required objectives. The top two objectives on screen: defeat the king at the town of monsters has to be required to get the crystal. As does complete Mount Ordeal. So there's at least one mid-game and one early-game type objective that must be completed, along with 4 of the other 6 possible ones. So we'll be working our way throughout the world, trying to find some of those key items, knock out some of those objectives. The 2 that we do have to do, we don't need a key item. However, we'll get to them when we get to them. But yeah, trying to force runners to maybe explore the map a little bit, but not narrow them all down in one hallway. And yeah, we're going to give them 7 distinct characters. They're welcome to use whichever of those 5 they would like to use, but those will only be 7 possible characters, so we're not getting a full array of all of the characters. Depends on what it was rolled for us. And then last but not least, I think we want to call out the late darkness. So Darkness Crystal is gated by underground, so we won't have any early moon access. We'll get underground. We'll have a nice natural flow throughout a free enterprise seed. We'll get underground, find our darkness, and then hopefully run out of objectives and beat the game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're looking at the objectives, you probably want to make sure to kind of figure out which ones are going to be requiring the moon or like the darkness crystal, and see if you can get away with doing it on the overworld and / underground, which is fine. I think for at least if you're going to start these seeds, I think. For me, I think it's important to know where the spots of the characters are, since they're all scattered. And the best way of doing that is going through them sort of in a particular order. Well, I have a particular order, but you should try to be able to visit all the spots they're in. So my preferred route is like Damsian, because there's a treasury there to pick up. There's the Watery Pass. There's character looting. Pretty good place to loot, especially if you have access to exit. Followed by Cydia, and then to get the 2 characters, which is nice, and then you end up directly at Mount Ordeals to pick up the last character and do the first. Well, it's technically the second objective listed, but the first objective you should aim for after compiling your party and use all that loot that you got through while you're picking up your characters.
Yeah, and speaking of characters, looks like we got an Edward start along with a Kane accompanying Edward. Not to share Beauty and Giran's personal identifiable information, but I do want to point out that they are both signed up as mentors for the Paladin Cup, and they are both seasoned veterans of playing for Enterprise, and they know their way ins and outs of the various flag sets. This will be a real treat to watch. Deathlike, what do you think of the starting Kane here? Is that something that you're going to like find a weapon for early, maybe capitalize on his early power, or are you looking to bench him?
Probably keep. I would actually be more concerned about the Edward that I would probably yeet, because the spoon is not a guaranteed thing to show up as early as possible. So if the spoon shows up early, great. We can probably swap him, keep him in, but he's the first one to go. I would actually keep Kane for stability, mostly just because it has a lot of the swords. Spears are being nice. I see a Gungnir, so that's a guaranteed he's gonna stay. And I've also really just main reason to keep Kane is Val protection. So that's the number one thing I would always be concerned about, because Val ruins a lot of seeds. So having Val protection in the form of Kane is pretty good stable. And if she doesn't show up, that's just as well.
Yeah, even better if we don't run across her, because she can be the worst sometimes. So far, we did find a Gungnir. That's a Bahamut summon, and not much else of note so far in the early looting. That is a Rydia at the top of Damsian. So now we got a white mage and a black mage in the party, plus 3 more characters to go. One thing I do like about the 7 distinct with it being free is you kind of get to know like your party right off the bat. And I think that helps a lot of runners. I hope a lot of runners were the target audience of these type of flags, kind of like, kind of start trying to figure out their party, rather than, trying to figure out what you're going to do with Kane at the 30-minute mark. It's a little bit easier to get accustomed to the way For Enterprise works if you don't have to make that, if you make that decision at the 5-minute mark as opposed to the 30 when it's caught you by surprise.
Yeah, I mean, building your... I think we have I think in the main alpha, we could probably build our party much easily, but I think this is just as well to learn this, at least learn the vanilla spots of where the characters are, if and when the flags align for that. In this case, with all the free spots, it's where all the, or at least for this flag, where all the characters are at, should be easy to memorize and should be easy to go. But I think Garen just wants to just do Antline immediately, which is fine. I don't know. There's a chance of exits being provided, but not guaranteed. So I don't probably not as interested in doing this immediately, but it's still an option. But it's good enough for the weaker characters, both the Edward and Rydia, to get some XP. Beauty and Discovery, finding we'll probably do the Cecil. Sid is definitely likely to be the anchor here because his being slow is the ideal, and yeah, Edward getting needed because no spoon, so why bother?
Garen is comfortably through his Odin fight at the Antlion Cave, and he is rewarded with the Magma Key, so that's always a feel good when you go it down to Antlion early. I don't remember seeing exits, and yeah, Garen's walking out, so we don't have exits in the starting kit, but it still feels pretty good because it's definitely a tough decision to make if you're going to do Antline or not with that early exit, and yeah, he is rewarded with his early Magma Key, so he's going to be on a very different path for a little bit until Beauty makes his way down there as well.
It's still doable with the characters. You just need some stable offense. So Kane is usually be able to provide. The other two don't have to really do anything other than just live to collect XP, and that's kind of all you can ask for with certain characters. Not exactly need some levels to just get to become usable. So it's kind of for that. Logically is a safe thing to do, and Beauty Discovery will be bumping into all the spots where the monster boxes are. It's not vanilla, so we don't know where it is.
Yep, looks like Beauty's gonna, mosey on through Edlon, get all the goodies out of there. He does have the full complement of characters, save for the Ordeals character. Another thing with these flag sets is T-Playable is on, so everything we find in a chest somebody can equip. Some things it's kind of like a mystery, like if you get a lunar staff, well, that's, it doesn't tell you much because a lot of people can wear a lunar staff. However, if we find stumble across maybe a ninja sword in here, that will pretty much tell Beauty right there who is at Ordeals waiting for him, because that means there is someone at Ordeals, and that someone has to be able to wear the ninja, and there's only one person who can wear the ninja, and that is Edge. Alright, Garen finding out the good news that there is a Cecil and a Sid waiting for him at Mysidia. Looks like he is YOLOing Sid out the party. Correct move. Sid, we're going to go with the Rydia anchor strategy because he did put Rydia on the ground during his Odin fight. It's a little bit easier to take down the 30 HP character as opposed to the 800. And yeah, Garen's taking his full complement of characters now on over to Ordeals and doing the first of the required objectives. Meanwhile, Beauty and Discovery, he has found 2 of the monster boxes so far within Eblon. Cursed Ring, Dwarf Axe, that is fantastic. Now he can back row glitch his Kane along with his Cecil, giving a little bit more extra survivability. There's one more monster box still waiting for Beauty to find, but looks like it's going to be on the right side of Eblon, so he can comfortably save one last time and knowing this is his second to last trip into Eblon. Alright, so we are finding out the last character, and that is Palom on top of Ordeals waiting for Garen, so that's an interesting find. And it looks like Garen's going to remove Rydia from the party, roll with his Palom. Great news, Beauty has found the last monster box chest, so now he can comfortably load out the rest of Eblon. And yeah, let's see what's going on at the top of Ordeals today for Garen. Alright, so Dolls at Ordeals number 1. This is great heads up play by Garen. We had a great complement of starting J items. And Garen, being the seasoned veteran he is, knows that a single Gaia Drum is more than enough to take down the multi-targets that can appear here, and he is good to go. One boss down.
It should be able. It's usually with all the, especially if you collect enough J items, should be able to take down anything, even if you don't have optimal characters like a level 1 Rydia or level 5 Edward. J items usually save a lot of time and effort. Instead of having to cast magic, like requiring a Palom to be around, you kind of have to try to use the items you're given and just use it early on. Not so useful later on, but definitely a lot, especially with the early stage. Definitely can capitalize on it. It's certainly worth the time to collect it. And then if at later towards the middle of the game, you can all just sell it all because you're it's not gonna scale too well towards the mid-late game.
One thing I did like Garen did when he uses the Gaia Drum as opposed to the big bombs he had is there's a few number of things out there that the doll that you could maybe use a big bomb on that's weak to fire, whereas there's nothing in the game that's weak to earth, right? There's a couple things that even it can fly over it and it can't touch them. So that's a great heads up play. It's a little small detail, but that's a tremendous play there by Garen to know that, hey, I'll hold on the fire bombs because what if I happen to run into something weak to fire in the short game? No point in using that there. So let's just go ahead and throw out the Gaia Drum now because it will get the job done.
It's sometimes there's if you're doing certain monster boxes and they come up like if you let's say do Castle Eblin with some J items, like say a firebomb or a big bomb, those would be great for the skull Staleman chest. So that's so just always keep in mind that there are certain ones that are better than in other instances where you obviously want to keep, like if instead Dark Elf there was a Pale Dim, there's only certain J items that will actually be effective against those bosses. So trying to keep in mind what J items you have and what they can do. They're not just, and sometimes there will be mistakes made. So just remember what those J items can do and when they aren't useful. I think Stardusts are probably universally useful because they don't have an element attached to it and it works through wall, which is one of the things you kind of be worth usually be worried about, but not have, but like the other elementals we're talking about, the ones that look like the spell, like the original spell it casts, like the Boris, which is Ice 2, those get reflected. So kind of things to keep in mind.
Yep. That is unfortunately a light sword at Ordeals is the reward. However, doesn't matter much because we got to come here anyways, because it is required to get the crystal. So fortunately, too, it is just King and Queen of Eblon, so it's always nice to see some of the time-sinking bosses at a spot you can comfortably take care of them. So, yeah, Garen is successfully through his first objective.
Light sword is still nice, but I think the thing is you might not get an optimal sword for Cecil. Every so often, you might get some junk, and you never something like I'm not sure. No, the ancient sword might usually starting equipment, but let's say you get he gets a crappy weapon like a staff. Probably since you give a start in this flex that you give a starting legend sword, so that's probably a usable piece of equipment, and especially if you get alt gauntlet in the crystal room, you literally have a weapon for Cecil to swing at, which is perfectly good for all the monsters in the zone. So it's always good to have. But I mean, if you got something better like the light sword, you can equip it in mid fight. So it's always good to do weapon swapping whenever possible. Things like the Avenger glitch comes to mind to taking advantage of the auto zerk property of the weapon.
All right, now Deathlike, Yudi got the magma key a little bit after Garen. However, he went and unlocked the access to underground, but did not go underground yet. Do you think that is a byproduct of the flags and the ordeals we required, or do you think maybe he changed his mind and wanted to do a little bit more overworld stuff?
You want to do mount ordeals before going to the underground, just for the levels alone is the primary reason. But the primary reason obviously is to get Cecil online. Dark Knight Cecil he's a functional character, but he has limited weapons, and you can do stuff with him with a black sword. But once you convert to a paladin, all that XP that you gave for him, it all disappears into an ether. So you want to unlock all his potential by being a paladin. All the holy swords pretty much require him to be paladin to use. So and they're the strongest, and typically the strongest swords. So doing that makes more sense. If you're just doing the magma keys, just drop it off. Just remove it from your inventory at the very least.
Mm-hmm. All right, Garen heading on over to the Fey March. He did save, so he's going to grab some chests on the way down. There is one monster box in here, but maybe we get some chest in. If we run into it early, that's fine. It's just a little quick reset, and we're perfectly fine. Nothing exciting. Rune is nice, though. But yeah, so 2 of the objectives, one of which is required. The second required one for Garen is going to be defeat the king down here. One of the other 6 that rolled was defeat the queen. So this is huge. If there's maybe a free boss down here, this could turn into a really jetty seed. Maybe if we see something a little on the tougher side, Garen can at least have some time to kind of brainstorm game plan, how he's going to take care of whatever that tough boss may be for a little bit.
I mean, it's nice if it works out that if the seed is jetty, but I think it's worth. I'm one for planning for the worst possible scenario. To assume like what could possibly be terrible in those spots, and how much effort do I need to take it on? So something like a Baigen in the king spot, since the queen is here, so maybe say Maga Sisters. Those bosses that align with the strengths of that spot become very, very, very scary, and they are not. And so you want to peek it. I'm all for it, but I also think it might be in your best interest to do other things to be able to I'm gonna stop. I don't have to peek. I know I can beat it, and that's another way of looking at it. So you kind of try to get ready for that spot. So that's not a key item, but a nice weapon for Kain. Probably not the exact best, but it's the strongest for him physically. Dragoon Spear, a lot more popular because there are a lot more dragons in the boss pile than bosses that are weak to holy.
Ooh, hourglasses. So that is very interesting. If we do by chance want to see some of those friendlier bosses down here, and now an hourglass is one of the things that can make those type of bosses super friendly. Garen also checking out the rest of the armor and item shops here. Sorcerer Robe is a nice find. This again will be the light sword for beauty and discovery. I'd imagine he'll be shortly behind Garen with his progress, working his way on the ground now.
Yeah. So Sorcerer Robe, probably one of the best mage armor. Works. I mean, boots both white mages and black mages alike. Probably could it's pretty much end game equipment, but not as. But if you're a white mage, you probably want to wait for a white robe. That's a doable pair. Not sure what the sparkle is, but the guards of ones are either Baron guards or the Kaipo guards. That's a very, at least either one is very straightforward and probably doable, but maybe not with these levels.
Yeah, one of those is definitely getting hourglassed. However, We don't we can outlast them, but we can't really kill them yet because Cecil's still level 1, and obviously everybody else is at their starting power. So Gurren's gonna pass on that. Looks like he's heading on over to the Sylph Cave now. He is saving, so maybe he has some more boxes in his future. And yeah, he made a hard right, so that's boxes indeed. Yeah, I imagine Beauty's going to be not too far underground or not too far behind Gurren and getting underground. I expect him to possibly take a similar path. Sylph Cave, Fey March, when you get early Magma Key, they're very treasure dense. We have to go down there anyways, game plan for the bosses, all that wonderful stuff. But no, looks like did Beauty find something he liked in the shops here? Oh no, he wants to call an audible.
Wants to swap in someone. So, do we find a spoon? If the answer is no, then
no.
Then who is the other character? Oh, it's Paladin. Okay.
Oh, great. That would make sense.
Okay. So,
Beauty does have a curse ring, so he has a little bit more flexibility in who he can take as his designated anchor than Gurren does at the moment.
I mean, curse ring is just the ultimate in comfort, because you know how it almost doesn't matter who gets the curse ring, as long as they become super slow, then that's fine. There's some benefit, like it's basically an emergency button for really nasty seeds, if you ask me. Yeah, so we definitely want to get the levels. Need to at least get Palom with Quake, so probably take this, and it's 2 sirens, at least 1 depending on how many bosses are killed. I keep forgetting. Forget this. It's not the alpha. The alpha makes the XP growth pretty well. I think here is just as well, but it's not quite as flexible scaling. So this probably needs 1 more. So it's 20. He's at level 22. Just one more siren away, or what could just take a regular fight. Maybe going up the Tower Babel underground and just taking on an alert. That should be more than enough to get to Quake.
Beauty had 4 sirens, so he has more than enough to burn through some eggs here. I think now at this point he did use the 1 coffin that he had got from Edlon's, but I think at this point Kane should be able to maybe get through them with a single jump with that Gungar spear.
I mean, that should be more than enough. This is the CPU. Kane should be able to defeat him. That's not the problem. It's usually annoying at other spots where you have to put in a lot of effort to getting at the big CPU and go out. First go after the defender as quickly as possible, because letting the CPU survive longer is just it's annoying. It has to go.
Yeah. And the CPU ride is almost always free. It's just how long is it going to take me to get this free fight over with? And sometimes it's just at an awkward spot. But again, sometimes seeds are fortunate in where they give you bosses at certain spots, and it's this is a blessing in disguise, because this is much more comfortable to take on with 1800 HP as opposed to 60,000. And Gurren comfortably through.
I'm trying to remember who did Beauty yeet for Palom? I feel that. Oh,
poor Beauty's. I agree with Beauty's stance on no white mages here tonight.
Well, I mean, I'm one for preferring a white mage, but I will say, when you are ditching all the white mages, that means you are going full aggro. You want to kill all the things quickly as possible. That means Quake and whatever you can give to Rydia, ideally with Leviathan or Bahamut, to just blow up the seed as quickly as possible. So if you have all the tools for it, then it's perfectly fine to go aggressive. Just understand that when the time comes that you actually need the healing, you better hope you have a Shura as backup. Otherwise, you're it might be a bad time.
Speaking of blowing up the seed, so Gurren got the adamant for his Sheila trade in, and because we start with the Legend Sword, now we have access to a guaranteed super weapon. We do have a uncomfortable amount of mages in the party, so there is a more often than not chance like we may get stuck with something we would not prefer. However, we have a Sid, we have a Kane, and we have a Cecil hanging around. So there is a small chance, non-0% chance, that we may find something amazing and have a Thor Hammer, maybe a Lightbringer, and Abel's Lance. Something really cool you don't get to see too often happen here.
Well, that's a peak. I thought we're gonna try to at least thinking of taking it, but okay, that's fine. We'll need a little bit more than that, I think. I think it's still be able to take it, but either way, not as interested, which is perfectly fine. I think we're looking for. Are we looking for the Demist? Because that's not necessary. That's fine.
One of the objectives is defeat the boss of the mixed cave.
Oh, okay,
the last possible objective can roll on the easier side. Not like just for there's a small chance to maybe learn where some of the other checks are in the game that are not gated by key items. And it looks like tonight we got the Miss Boston. That's a pretty fast check for Garen. He'll take that every time and twice on Sunday.
So it's pretty free most of the time, unless it's gold, but in which case you'll probably scream why, because sometimes easy checks can be ruined by really annoying bosses, and Golbez typically is number one on ruining easy spots. So it'll happen every so often, and don't be surprised. Mobiles are kind of wreaking a little bit of havoc. Helps a lot if you can resist any part of breath. Breath applies multiple different statuses, all of which are nasty: charm, blind, pig, mini, and toad. So I think there's probably one more I'm forgetting off the top. Oh, mute, that's right. So and if you resist any one of them, you resist it all. So the most common one for mages, best armor for that is a rune ring, but I don't think that might have been found. There might be, and for fighters, headband will do you a lot of good because that provides two different things: better offense and also resistance to the charm, which is Zeus gloves are better, but most common thing you'll likely to find is headbands.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Beauty survives that scare. Good news, we get to learn what's at the Queen spot. Looks like it's Officer and Soldiers because we got double guards here in Baron Inn.
Is this even?
Yeah, we forgot to hit the randomize the Baron Inn button tonight.
Yeah, it'll be fine. So Officer Soldier is pretty straightforward. That fight is a lot more easy. Just if you have a coffin, just use coffin on the officer, and then soldiers will punch themselves because they don't know what to do. That's Baron tactics. Who knew? Baron guards though, they're mages. Which is nice if you have any mage killing weapons, mute knife, rune axe, and also good to know that if you have rune rings, you will be very resistant. That usually, I'm not sure how much damage loss, but it's usually a very drastic amount of damage loss if you have equipment that applies to the racial defense. So rune rings are usually good. Aegis shields are just as well, and ribbons.
So Earth Crystal is waiting for us at Baron Inn. That was the reward for Garen. He's finally trading his adamant. So we may not even have to do one of the other objectives we have a little on the tougher side. Tower Azot was one of the rolled objectives, and that is what the Earth Crystal gates. Along, we're going to get access to a very crazy treasury, I would imagine, which is nice for Garen because he hasn't really committed any time to any monster in boxes yet, so he'll miss out on that experience. But sometimes you can definitely as a runner you can get into like this craze where like you maybe the first 4 or 5 monster boxes doesn't give you the holy weapon for Cecil, and then you just kind of keep going. You're pot committed, so to speak, but Garen might be able to bypass all of that and just get in the treasury here.
T-Wild is very favorable, especially when there's no restriction on the loot. So pretty good chance you'll pick up adamant armors, excals, crystal swords, just the real good stuff. So probably if looted a lot. That is a very straight boost in power, easily visible. Just well, depend on what's there, but it's not unlikely that at least one adamant armor shows up, given this, particularly with this flag set. So apples, give it to the healer or the or something. Usually Porm, the Porm or Rydia, whoever shows up, harder to justify to other characters if they gain so much HP. Depending on the seed, of course. The apples a day keep Dr. Luge away, as they say.
Alright, Deathlike, we got a miswhip from the adamant check. Not our favorite thing in the world, so what is Gurren hoping to see in here in the treasury?
Things that fit the fit. So I see a charm rod, which is good. Excal, perfectly fine. Oh, we have Stardust, so we've improved on that. And yep, all the mages are happy, and Cecil. So that should be. Let's see. Do math. That's a pretty good seed. I don't think it fed Kane or anything. So it's Cecil and the mages. That was a great loot.
Yep, the Excalibur alone, among all the great secondary mage weapons and equipment we found. So now we have a very nice outfitted party. We've officially, ooh, and we have a power shirt. Where do we get that power shirt? I love a good power shirt. Yeah, now this Cecil is officially online. We'll get him some levels, and he will start doing Cecil things. And Beauty is making their way on over to Baron Inn, so I'd imagine they won't be too far behind Gurren getting the Excalibur in the treasury as well.
So that Mistwhip is only good for Rydia. The Super Smith only, I think, for this flag set should be available for one of the characters that actually exists in the seed. So Beauty and Scrubby will benefit. Gurren gets no value, and the selling value is also 0. So if you didn't want it, it doesn't matter. I'm starting to think that Edward might be gonna be floor duty if a spoon doesn't show up anytime soon.
Alright, so Gurren is on his way up Tower of Zot. Beauty still has his adamant trade in. I'm surprised neither runner has made their way to a Dwarf Castle, because one of the features of the flag set is the bedward key item, or the Dragon Mist key item, is placed inside Dwarf Castle. So Dwarf Castle is a nice little hub, especially if you have warp, because the warp switches on, so there can be up to 3 key items in there. And speak of the devil, Beauty said, you know what? He does have a little bit, mid-game levels. He just, however, realized, I think he just realized he doesn't have warp yet. But Paladin is level 26. I think we get it at 28, right?
20 or 29. It's pretty close. We'll probably just doing the fight. We'll get there. So it's as long as Paladin's alive. That is the key phrase. Usually not a problem, but there will, things will happen. It's a fun Golbez. I think is this the Mega Sister slot? So
yep. The first class fight in Zot.
So the spell power is sort of comical, but Beauty doesn't like the karate fight. Probably needs to actually guarantee it. I think. I'm not sure. Oh no, wants to forge first, because why lose your offense? Why not improve your offense first before taking on a fight? It's the order of which things are done may have better outcome if you have more loot on your side.
Mm-hmm.
So, go ahead.
Why did Gurren cast Venom on his party during the Golbez fight?
So, status priorities is a thing. So poison is ahead of paralysis, so paralysis can't be applied. You can see the same effect happen with the Dr. Luge fight, where he poisons you and then he has a counterattack to sleep, to put you to sleep. But since you're poisoned, you can't go to sleep. So it's sort of a nice feature that you kind of learn from the fight, but you don't really think about it too much. So also applies to Golbez because when you're paralyzed, you can't do anything, and having the opportunity to do a few things like revive or put a Starvel up during the fight allows you to survive the fight more efficiently and get more characters levels as necessary.
Yeah, I think you hit the hammer on the head. Looks like Beauty maybe wanted to collect his Super Forge item for the karate fight and everything else he has going on here in Dwarf Castle. Ooh, those coffins are nice. Now that that coin spot we mentioned earlier is not only is it free, it's free and then some. My goodness.
I mean, the life glitch is nice too when you can take advantage of it. So yeah.
Fantastic news. Beauty is officially in go mode. He just has to defeat the king at the Fey March, travel on back down there. I'd assume take care of the queen, which will be the easier of the two, and then he has to just do one of the Tower of Zot or stumble across the tower key some way, somehow before doing all that, and then destroying the super cannon.
Looks like doing this to get the pen, but we don't have the pen. We don't have the pen. I mean, I guess we could try to get the key item, hoping to do something. I'm not sure.
Yeah. He's going the scenic route, so I think he's just gonna try to form monster. Yeah.
Okay, but this is. I mean, I don't. If sirens haven't been found, then this is probably acceptable. Not ideal, but you know there are. If you want to find options, these are valid options. We'll try to cast magic, ideally, probably Quake to the monsters, but you have to time it right because you don't want to be murdered that quickly by the monsters because it only takes them to start do their casts, particularly the ghosts, to do the fire 2s to pretty much murder the 1 HP characters who no white mage to cast float to avoid all that damage. So it just has to just be first to cast Quake or die.
Yeah, Tamara did not have the goods. It did have Leviathan, so depending on if your stance on summons or not. But we already found Bahamut earlier on, so Leviathan a mute or a moot point. Yeah, I also think that's also like BD had this game plan all along when he took over. When he brought Paladin in the party, did his 1 egg, and he's kind of been waiting on this. The first go around, I think, was maybe just gave him a little bit of pause. But now that he's got a few more levels and a few more things happening for his team, I think he's now ready to come back and clean up a little bit.
Yeah, I think mobiles are the only issue. If they get their breath off on Palom, it's going to be an unfortunate reset. So this is fine. This should be good. As long as Palom gets the Quake off, that's fine. Mobile gets the breath, which is fine. This is after the Quake, so not as threatening. Rydia can do. If the breath was on Rydia, that would be sort of problematic, but you still have another turn for the next character, so it's fine. This is mostly fine. Just needs to heal Palom with a heal potion, unless it doesn't have one, which is possible, but we'll find out immediately.
Do we have a heal?
Oh. No. Oh, we have a Paladin. It's problem solved. There were more monsters on the other route, apparently.
Yeah. It's the way it be sometimes. And that's okay. Beauty doesn't know it, but there's an Excalibur waiting for him in his future. Looks like he's going to maybe clean up a little bit more of the egg situation on the peninsula down there in the Silk Cave territory.
Yep.
And that's a hook. The hook is the Royal Four Towers Zot. Kind of means nothing. Maybe we find a peak tail when we get an added in armor later. But good news for Garen. Garen is now officially going to be in go mode, as long as he was aware of the Sid flag. Yeah,
the Sid flag is nice because we when Kano free is on tip, that means that, but without anything else, usually means we have to do a Demon's Hunt. But since I think I don't remember the exact term, the exact flag, but allowing Sid being the free key item because he would normally put on the hook, but yeah, It's not. It's but now it's just a key item spot, which is kind of nice.
Garen got his darkness. That is it for him. He is not going to travel to the back of the castle. One of the reasons I think maybe Garen would head on down there would be to get the tanky item. So whenever he does decide to get levels on his characters, that can happen a little bit faster with tanky items. But I think now knowing what's going on, Garen knows the lay of the land. He now knows he's in go mode. He's just got to take care of at least the king, possibly the queen, and then figure out a way to get his levels.
Has to figure out the grind. So the sirens will fill out some of it if that's all. I don't know how many sirens. I saw 4. Those 2. So we'll just consume those and then hope that's enough. I think the king will have to find. We'll find out that what the king spot will have with beauty. I think, but beauty will probably do the queen spot first. So that knowing what that is. So it's and. We know it's the officer soldier, so it shouldn't be too bad. Just depends a lot on what that spot is. There's plenty of nasty bosses that could represent the sparkle. I think Wyvern is always annoying. But have we seen Ogo yet? Because that is probably also the worst possible. Plague not so threatening. I think we might have seen D-Lunars. I'm trying to remember.
Maybe the only sparkle we've seen is Wyvern. Yeah, I think Wyvern was the D-Mist fight because somebody walked up to it and it immediately wilted away. So I believe that's where it was.
So, Pale Dim could be problematic, but I think the worst of the left is really just Ogo.
Yeah.
So that would probably be it. The others not so threatening. Well, D-Lunars are probably annoying, not so much. So it depends. There's plenty of bad. Anything. The sparkle's already a bad sign to begin with. So shouldn't be too bad. But we'll definitely see the officer soldier done first. Probably we'll have to remember to heal Cecil so that fight can go a little bit easier, so that no one dies. While that fight, outside of the anchor, I think Sid will be laying down for the fight because he is the anchor.
Good news for Beauty. Beauty does have Artemis arrows and Artemis and an Artemis bow, so there are a couple dragons the sparkle spot could be for him. So great heads up play by Beauty. Know your odds, and the odds are this Artie arrows may put in some work, so he's going to go ahead and throw those on before he even triggers the fight. And worst case scenario, if it's a waste of time, I think we can always reset.
We're paying for the sleep. So I thought we were. It's whatever.
Alright, Garen's going to take care of the officer that has made his way underground with his friends. Just a quick coffin on the green guy, and we are done. We are done here.
Mostly done. They still have to die. The others still have to die first.
They'll help us out.
Well, I mean, they do want to do. Yep, there's life glitch because why not? When you kill someone, you want you can't with bosses that don't have the boss bit. You can use the life glitch on. And these are one of them. Worth knowing which bosses have the boss bit. Pale Dim has the boss bit, unfortunately, so we can't do shenanigans. And having a bad time, can't get the quake off. It's already a bad side. Beauty, pretty good chance may have to reset, especially not having any healers doesn't help. But if either or both Cecil and Kane have a piece of Dragoon equipment, it should be good enough. Artemis Arrows definitely doing work on this dragon.
Yep, I believe Cecil has a glass hat. And yeah, those Artemis arrows gain huge dividends. This is very nice and very fortunate for Beauty. This spot can be a little on the tougher side. However, if we're able to get a weakness multiplier like we are with the dragon and the Artemis arrows, this is a huge get for Beauty. It's pretty fortunate.
taking advantage of a racial multiplier is essentially quad attack power damage. So you'll be doing four times as normal damage, based just because you've matched up with the right boss. Works out.
And great news, we can use the hourglass right next door.
Yep, didn't have to buy one. There was some for sale, ironically. So that's kind of nice. It's unfortunate that not all seats will have sirens available. So there are research or other means of getting, but there's no edge. So no way of stealing sirens from the actual monster sirens from the Tower of Babel from the lower side, especially the guaranteed monster in the boxes, because they're all sirens, but different monsters they summon. But we just want, a way of getting sirens is usually through stealing it if Edge was in the seed. So always good to use the skills of the characters you have available.
All right, so that is the queen spot down for Beauty. And yeah, so the difference right now between the two runners on screen is Garen has completed his Tower of Zot and Beauty has not. However, because Beauty yielded full root of Albon, he's got a little bit more chest, a little more gear going his way. He doesn't have Excalibur yet. I imagine he's going there very soon. However, there were some sirens in Eblon, and that did allow Beauty to get his level advantage. What are you going to do here, Deathlike, if you're Garen, to get the levels you need to beat the game?
I mean, if sirens are available, buy a stack, call it if you haven't already, and go do it. Because you have to reach a certain level, usually above at least 40s, at least mid 30s at least, minimum. But having more levels is better. I think it depends on the team constructor. So if the team has more mages, the primary objective is to get them to white or nuke, whichever character needs them to make the fight shorter, especially using reflex strats. For your Zerkers, it's not as important. You just need your supporting characters to ideally a white mage to have Cure 4 handy. At least definitely have to have a Cure 3 at least. Cure 4 makes or breaks fights, because Cure 3 has a slight delay where Cure 4 has no delay, and having no delay gets your spell off like quickly. Like it's has same speed as Virus or Nuke. You want it virtually instant, so you don't want anything to prevent Cure 4 before a Big Bang.
Mm-hmm. I think Garen's fine here, but this Paladin fight is going noticeably slower for him, so this is giving Beauty a little bit of time to get through his Tower of Zot and get on the same objective playing field, if you will, as Garen is currently at. So we got a little bit of a break here in the action. We're not going to see anything we haven't already seen before. So if you like what you were seeing on screen, you got two top shelf runners. You got Garen, you got Beauty and Discovery. Not only are they amazing at the game, they're fantastic people. And if you would like to learn Free Enterprise for them, you can do so in the Paladin Cup, featuring the flags these two gentlemen are currently playing on screen. The Paladin Cup is where we pair new players with seasoned veterans and show them the ropes. They're not, you'll have a helping hand as you play throughout your races through your mentors, but your mentors are not there to over the shoulder you, put their hand on the steering wheel. They're there to guide you. They're there to remind you of Golbos' script. They're there to let you know that he's weak to fire. They're not there to coach you how to do the fight. They're there to be a supporting voice and lend a helping hand. And then, it's a nice, welcoming way to learn Free Enterprise. Learn repetitive racing through playing against other fellow aspiring racers, aspiring learners. And Deathlike, I believe you signed up as a mentor too, right?
Yeah, I did apply.
Very nice.
Yeah, I can just recite information like nothing, but it's not as interesting if this doesn't do anything. Like you gotta experience some of it, and then but you also have to play the seeds, play the flags you're given to understand the feeling of a seed, to understand what's gonna happen, or what the worst could happen, or what the possible best case scenario should happen. So it's going to be an experience, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, and then you play through the Paladin Cup. You were there with other people who are learning the game as well, and then after that, you're welcome to join for Enterprise however you'd love to do so. There are a lot of amazing community-run clubs by various community members that have each their own spice, their own flavor, various takes on the flags and the way to play for Enterprise. There's also a robust archipelago scene happening in the Discord. So yeah, once you're comfortable to know the game. Really, like the main thing, is learn the characters. So once you learn the characters and the bosses, those are the same things, no matter what type of flavor of flags you take on or what type of combination. And then now that you have that wealth of knowledge of how to take out the bosses, how characters can be put in position to succeed and take advantage of, that translates to however you like to enjoy the game. And then yeah, just from there, the free Enterprise world is your oyster.
Yeah. Oh, did have a slight question though. When you were putting together this flag set, so I think you started with white mages required. Basically, you started with a white mage, and how did that progress to what it is now?
White mages, and trying to throw a white mage in there with 100% certainty was a good idea that we had, or that we tried to implement. However, you ended up in playtesting, you ended up with too many seeds where you had 3 white mages, and then the other characters were the Edwards and Tella's, who Tella's also technically a white mage, and it was a little too much white mage, right?
It was you basically gave not life support, but like you gave every seed safety net, and was what if we don't have any white mages? Or I think initially you didn't even have edge available for a bit, which was what is this? No edge in my life? What is this?
So Fusoya can be found in these flags. However, he can't be a starting character. So 1 out of every 11, or he cannot be a character that's found. So 1 out of every 11 seeds will feature Fusoya. All the other characters can either be starting or found somewhere else through your character checks. That was also another point of the too much white mages. It also became too much Fusoya. And Fusoya is an important character to learn. However, because he's essentially Palom and Porm combined, he a little too much. It's not the Fusoya Cup, it's the Paladin Cup. So
yeah. Well, I mean, Fu is great. I love Fu. It's just but those are easy seeds. I know, and they're all. I know I have every so often seeing a Fu in a seed. It's this seed is gonna be. This is. It's not necessarily a jet seed, but I don't have to worry about too many things. It's there's a lot of things to learn in a free Enterprise, and basically not dealing with all the other characters you don't expect or don't necessarily want, but you have to kind of make do with them. You have to use them all. And every character is more or less distinct in their own way. Not necessarily, and they're not exactly clones. The closest thing is Porm and Rosa, but they're not exactly clones. They're very distinct. So you have to kind of learn how distinct they are. It's kind of the magic that is Final Fantasy IV. So kind of it's a thing you have to experience.
Yeah, in theory, say maybe you played in the Paladin Cup and you played 5 seeds, and maybe you practiced 10 on your own time, maybe even a couple with your mentor. Statistically, you would eventually, at some point in time, eventually you'd come across a Fusoya seed. And again, he is an important character to learn because he is one of the characters in the game, and various flag sets do feature him, do allow him. So it's important to understand how his spell mechanics work, how he can, why does he start with X amount of HP? Why does he not get spells as he levels up? Why is this happening with him? So it's important to learn that as if you venture out into other flag sets. But you just, again, it's not the Fusoya Cup because he is, he is what he is. He's a very good character.
There's a reason why he's called Mop, because he mops up every seed. Makes the seed flies by a little bit quicker just because he's on your team.
All right, so Giran did find Siren in the Cave Eblon, and now he is taking his eggs over easy. Beauty has the same idea. However, Unfortunately, my friend, they're not going to be up here on the moon. We could maybe find Bacchus, which would be nice, because we haven't found an Avenger. Oh, no, we're just getting Sylph. All right, well, looks like Beauty's going to have to get his levels another way.
There are a few options that don't require too many in the way of levels. Don't want to necessarily describe it unless we're actually doing it, because yeah, we'll need star veils, at least a stack of them to get. These are still Z level ready, but very spicy for at least the weaker characters. Rydia, mostly because her HP growth it's slow.
All right, so this is where the seed is going to kind of be determined. So it looks like Beauty's either going to do the Ribbon Room, which is the highest XP fight on his path down to the Lunar Subterrane. Maybe he elects to do some monster boxes. The Moon monster boxes, as Curios is pointing out, are very, very lucrative. They're essentially Bitcoin, but it's like, imagine it's 2007, right? So if we can maybe stumble across an adamant armor or the even better sword for Cecil, that would be a huge way for him to weather the onslaught that Garen about to put on the seed, because Garen is still going on with the eggs. Cecil is well over 2,000 HP, as is this Kane. Porm and Palom, they're about to get to their top tier spells, and yeah, he'll be coming up there very, very soon.
But looking for a specific fight, King Ryu's pretty popular grind option, especially because it's life glitchable, so that's a big influx of experience. I mean, the other one probably was looking for it was the 3 Warlocks, which is also popular, but using the same tactic, using an Hourglass to make them just make them do nothing for a long while. Hourglasses, there's just much stronger version of stop. Bigger number on the Hourglass means the longer it is. Even Hourglass 1 is the same length as the spell magnet, so it's extraordinarily long and incredible. Didn't do the actually did do life glitch, so that's but. Yeah, that should be good enough. Even without the double XP, the XP still flows, and with some money, though the money at this point is not happening, especially with not going back to the Earth.
No, I did not know the odds of getting gold dragons on that 4, and Beauty spiked the 1 in 4 chance, as Curios mentioned, on the first try. So that's maybe Beauty should buy a lottery ticket tonight, or some Bitcoin.
I do think the monster boxes, though, can be chaotic, especially if you land the 2 red dragons or blue dragon and red dragon, casually named as Bimmy and Jimmy, because double dragons. Those are usually pretty terrifying fights if you don't have the power to take them on, mostly because they hit often and hurt quite a bit if you don't have any dragon-resistant gear.
All right, so first monster box down. What does Beauty get? Moment of truth.
Adamant.
Ooh, more arty arrows. What's wrong with that?
Not exactly the ideal weapon. No, not exactly the ideal weapon. Well, it's still serviceable. You got the Artemis bow, so it's more or less close enough to Kane, I guess. Like with a Dragoon Spear or White Spear, I think that is equipped. So it's more or less the same. Like the strongest bow and arrow combination that anyone can equip is about the same as a Dragoon Spear, give or take.
All right, so Beauty's stopping at the save point. Looks like he is healing up the party, so I think he has a date with the River Gnome here.
Shouldn't be too bad. Most with those levels is should be more than enough to take on the boss. Doesn't have the double XP, but this is super free. Mostly, the only time when it's not free is you are not able to damage Dr. Luge in the second part of the fight, because Laser depends on his current HP, and if you don't try to take out quite a bit of HP from Dr. Luge, that laser is going to hurt. it's reflectable, but but it's gonna hurt. The only this spot has normally the 2 lunar dragons combined for quite a bit of HP. It's not quite say the element spot in the giant, but it's still probably the highest level of XP and highest chunk of HP available for a boss fight. So and HP to understand, it's just all ratios of how much HP they combined for that particular boss, and they're split that many way depending on the combined HP of the whatever the original bosses are at this spot. So 2D lunars, I don't know if the HP is like 80, maybe 80,000. So this spot isn't too high in HP because it's like 4 different mini bosses for this spot. So it's not as threatening as it would be.
Is that the last siren for Garen? Yeah, he's back in the
He got
airship.
Got nuke. So
There we go. And we know where Garen is going next. Beauty is technically ahead in physical locations. However, Garen now successfully has navigated his party to the magical levels to get nuke and light, and now he just got to get to the moon and get to where same spot Beauty physically is.
I don't think that really got nuke. Or am I seeing? I forget what level. I thought she was like level 40-ish. No, he's a 10.
Oh. So that was a Pan and Pigtail. Those are 2 fantastic key items to find. However, I don't think Beauty is going to be warping out of here anytime soon to go back for him. But I believe that does give him 10.
So probably still wants nuke, especially with the Paladin and Rydia. So probably if there's still sirens, we're going to do monster in a boxes. I'll still keep So I'll probably try to get a monster in a box to get more levels with. Try to get both Rydia to level 50 and Paladin to level 52 for nuke. So shouldn't be too bad, but still zonking on not getting a monster in a box, which usually for you was like, I'm looking for him, and you're just giving me trash loot.
There we go. All right, very nice. And I don't think Garen has the 2 Bacchuses Beauty has. However, he does have a white mage, so that will allow him to just cast the Berserk on his 2 physical characters. Is Beauty going to use a Bacchus here, or is he going to?
I don't think it's worth it. Just go for it. I think he was looking for the Bacchus. Not quite sure, but don't want to use it on the mages because that's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Well, not that it won't do anything. It's just not as useful as Cecil. Needs to slow it down a little bit. Unfortunately, Sid being the anchor, that's the consequence. Yeah. Not too bad. But at least knows where the box is. But that's time consumed. Well, Garen gets enough time to get there, save, and then do Z, or maybe just go straight to Z. I don't know. Doesn't really make a difference. Pretty low safety save would be helpful. Though, there's always a chance that that things go sideways with Z. So safety save probably always a nice thing to do.
I guess he's gonna Crystal Sword Altar to get it his last few levels.
Probably safer option. Can't be that many. This is free mostly. Shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, a little Quake, a little Bahamut.
Probably looking for trying to get a Crystal Sword. Probably that would be better than the Artemis bow combo, which is not quite Excal.
Right. Garen making some last minute adjustments for his date with the final boss. Yeah, so Beauty definitely does have the 10 key items now. So this is essentially the same as doing. I think this gives about the same experience as you could expect from getting an egg. So not as fast as doing the egg, obviously, but I mean it's faster than traveling all the way back or continuing the Siren Search or continuing the Monster in a Box whack-a-mole game that didn't go Beauty's way the first time. So I like this play by Beauty.
Yeah, I think most runners are more used to doing boss fights than doing the monster in the boxes when you don't know where they are or what they contain. So yeah, difficult. Normal difficulty kind of. You want to have some level of control in what you fight.
All right, Milan Z and friends down. However, Guren has successfully high-fived Beauty and has walked past the tile floor that he was on, and now he has just one more floor to traverse before he begins his final fights.
Should be that time of the night to see some of these flags. I see flags. Think it's time to go to sleep. At least that's what Z's are for, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's
right. That's like we're gonna give you first dibs. Who is the Zero Miss Spike gonna be tonight?
Ooh, I don't know. Well, if I had that kind of control, I'd be some sort of god. But maybe Clippy. Maybe Clippy. Who knows?
Clippy. I'm gonna guess Dormus. I'm gonna guess Dormus. It's been a while since I've seen Dormus. I feel like during the Adamant Cup, saw quite a bit of Dormus. I haven't seen him in a while since. I'm gonna guess we got Dormus tonight.
I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of Z sprites, so always good to see something new, or at least haven't seen in a while, which is always a treat.
Alright, Guren has flipped. He has revealed the sprite. It is Deathimus. Both of us are obviously wrong, so we will not be winning the brand new card tonight. That is Berserk on Cecil for Guren, so he's going to do some work. Yeah, Deathlike, do you want to give a breakdown of the Zirmis fight, and how does that fight usually play out for runners?
So it's a pretty straightforward fight. You want to have a Silk Web. Ideally, you might not be able to. You can cast slow, but you'll get a counter of Nuke, or any sort of most magics, you'll get a counter of Nuke, and do not want to use white on Z because you'll be punished with a weak, which is much more devastating after a Big Bang. First Nuke, you want to, before the first Big Bang, you want to cast any sort of magic or use an item that usually casts magic, that's what they are. And that we call nerfing Big Bang as when you cast magic during sequences where Z shakes, you cause a nerf to happen. And nerfing Big Bangs are great because the damage you'll see right now is manageable. But when you don't nerf Big Bang, damage can go up to 2,400, maybe 2,700, depending on certain things you do to Z, which means, which by mean using summons at the wrong time. Like you can do damage with summons, but that could also beef up Z's spell power. You don't want any of that. So most of the time, with your Zerkers, you want to Zerk them, let them do their thing. And when you have mages, if you have the strongest spell, you want to reflect them because it doesn't trigger a nuke or anything, which is the greatest thing ever. If you have more mages, it's better, so because you can avoid him healing himself during mid-fight at a certain level, a little north of 20,000 HP. So using reflect often allows you to skip a refill. Means half amount of HP do you have to get through to defeat Zeromus. So with this hybrid fight, using reflect and using Zerkers still be fast. So it's not too far before the Z shaking for his defeat will happen.
Yeah, his Cecil and Kane are doing between 6,000 and 7,000 damage every cycle. They got both Berserks up. Obviously, we've seen a few whites and nukes get reflected. We are going to heal Zermus here, but that heal is means nothing in the grand scheme of things because Cecil's going to turn right around and clean up all that damage. And I think we're at the point now where Garrick with the controller down and the fight will play itself out. This is very well done by Garen. Fantastic use of his character order so that the sequence can play out, and that is GG's. That is crack pow.
Yeah, that was a big.
Oh, excuse me, that is a big thing.
We're almost there. We're
I
almost
almost
there.
hit. I almost hit GG Garen in the chat. My apologies.
We're almost there. Well, when we see rocks, that is the final phase under. Slightly above 10,000 HP. So, but we are nearing the end, which is good.
Yeah.
Though, has been known that Big Bang into Meteor can be devastating. So you gotta expect it. It should be defeated about. There we go.
There we go. There we go. Now it's official. Very well done. Very well done all around. Many other runners have been playing this tonight's community race, and Garen is the first one finished on screen. So very well done to Garen. We're going to see if he'd like to share some words and enlighten us on the happenings from his point of view within the seed.
I mean, pretty straightforward seed. A lot of zoom, a lot of loot. I mean, with the flags, you should be able to loot mostly what you need for your characters, but nothing is guaranteed until you actually loot or not loot.
Good evening.
All right, GG's Garen. Well done. Very impressive showing tonight. Yeah, let's get right down to it. The objectives were they're not necessarily free, but it was pretty much lining up to that. Not a lot of key items required. Did you have a certain game plan in mind to maybe get to your 6 out of 8 when the?
I mean, not really. I mean, I was debating if I should go to Evelyn Castle and try for the Adamant Roulette. I decided not to. Would have liked to have found the Sirens earlier, made that Paladin a lot faster. But other than that, no, the plan just took him as I got him. It's like I knew the Queen was going to be available as soon as I got underground. The early forward was like, okay, that's 2. Miss Cave is 3. As Earth Crystal's like, oh, let's go, shoot.
Yeah, it was pretty early on. We the audience and the commentary were in no mode that we were just a darkness away, or maybe even a pass because there was no moon objectives. But yeah, so you did make a different party other than Beauty. Beauty elected for the no white mage strategy, and you took a little bit of everybody. You took the Cecil, you took the white mage, you took the black mage. Is that normally the way you would approach seeds like this?
I do like balance in the end. I mean, Sid is like, that's an anchor, but it's not much else, especially if it's another company that didn't. Ready is like, maybe, but it takes a long time to get online. I was regretting when I saw the Bahamut in the cold shop, but it's like, yeah, it takes a while to get to nuke, and I'm not going to buy 10 key items. It's kind of a slog, so didn't bother with it.
Now, if you didn't find sirens in Castle Eblon, did you have, or excuse me, in Eblon Cave, did you have a backup plan to get your levels for the end game?
Well, plan B was check the Hummingway shop on the moon. Plan C was we're taking boxes on the way down the LST. Luckily, plan B and C were not required.
Yeah. Yeah, Beauty went with plan B and plan C. He did check the Hummingway shop, and unfortunately there was nothing of value. There wasn't the Bacchuses, so we don't think Bacchuses are in the seed. And yeah, he bypassed the Sirens, and he had a rough go of it because the no white mages made the behemoth fight that he stumbled across in the boxes a little harder than you would like without Blink. And then he went ahead and just cleared out some of the actual altars to get his level, so he's not too far behind you. But yeah, once you got your levels, you got to that Z fight. That was very well done, my friend.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping the Z fight wouldn't turn out to be a little bit crazy, but after so much fast ROM seeds, it's like, oh, this is a little bit slower than I'm used to now. I wonder, it's like, why isn't Z shaking? It's like, I'm not used to it being this slow. But yeah, the only thing that was a little bit unnerving was I saw that early dark out. It's like, ooh. But emptied the kitchen sink of the jams, and that was enough.
You never really faltered, so again, very impressive, very well done. Not to share your personal information, Garen, but you did sign up to be a mentor in the Paladin Cup. So would you like to share some words on the way that you would maybe coach someone up, lend some advice on how you would assist someone looking to learn free enterprise in the Paladin Cup?
I mean, my approach usually tends to be to try to help the runner think through what their strategy should be in the first place. So kind of like, okay, look at the objectives, like kind of map it out. It's like you've got a free one. You know, when you're underground, you've got, you know, another one potentially, depending on what the queen spot is. It's like you're not looking for too much in the seed possibly. So, you know, just try and reverse engineer it and figure out some of the tips and the tricks in terms of what's weak to what. Get lucky. That heroine robe was kind of a nice pull there, although it was in Baron too, but you know, yeah, ultimately, yeah, it's trial and error, but it's like I try to help people learn the thing and to think on their feet when they're going for it.
Yeah, very well said. No, Jay Braun, one of the other runners hopping in chat, neither Beauty or Urine, they did the full dwarf. They found the darkness and they were officially in no mode and just a king and queen fight away. And that is what they did. But yeah, Garen, Deathlike, do you have anything for Garen while we have him here?
Not sure if you went through all the characters, Garen, but I did appreciate your decision to do Antlion Cave with the starting gain. I think if I'm guessing what you were thinking, you wanted to get levels on your characters, even though Edward wasn't was going to eventually be your anchor, but you want the levels on your weaker characters with Kane just powering through that fight. Is that what I'm thinking? Is that what you're thinking?
Not so much that. So I was already at Jamestown Castle to get the freebie character there, and it's like Antlion's right here. You've got the weapons needed to get rid of it. If you notice, I took Bridia down. That was my original anchor plan. Then it's like I found Palom. It's like, you know something? Palom can be slow enough in most cases, and it's like I can just keep Eddie down in that case, even though he's got a little bit of levels. Yeah. So I just switched plans. It's like, well, if the spoon shows up, great. If it doesn't, well, yeah, he didn't. So Eddie became the anchor.
You're not just waiting for the spoon? Was not getting the spoon is why he stayed down as anchor? Is that because that was I mean, I'm sure he could have contributed.
Otherwise, I would have been Palom as anchoring, because I can usually deal with Palom as the anchor.
Yeah,
had Ninja head. Usually he's around 25 with Nuke anyway, so that should have been fine.
Yeah, but definitely pretty much a good early strat. Well, all those things. I mean, good for routing. It's not. I don't usually think about it, but it's definitely certainly good routing. When you consider, you know, it's right there. You know, routing is definitely an important aspect of racing. So yeah, it's like you know, saving a little time because you don't have to go there and you don't have to go out of your way to get there. So that's always it's good. It's certainly a good thing to try out in the Paladin Cup.
I go back and look at the spoiler to see what the Kievs were. It's like I had only 3 more Veil on the blue pants. I only have 8. Where are all the items?
Well, 2 are in the ribbon room. 2 good ones are in the ribbon room. It's just you're already in go mode, so you're not going back to do the
PTL. Yeah, not going back there at that point. Okay, then Pan probably blocks something else. I mean, 10 games would have been nice, so I didn't have to crack like 30 eggs to get to my levels, but, well, you gotta do what you gotta do.
It's pre-protein, so.
I got news for you. If I ate that many eggs in real life, I would be not eating eggs for a month.
Pretty sure at that point, if you ate that many eggs in real life, you get your picture hung on the wall. Alright, well, GG's again, Garen. We don't want to take up too much of your time. Before we let you go, is there anything going on, maybe in your personal happenings inside Free Enterprise or outside that you give a shout out to?
I will plug my club, Survivor Hero Island, since it's there. It's a bit of a different thing. That's mostly the food challenge applied to characters' skills. Characters start with fight and item. You have to beat a boss to get a skill back. It's a random one, and
Nice.
the idea is see how the party goes. Like, I've also thrown in permajoin this season, so like you might add a Paladin, and it's like, well, black is at the very end of the list, and the scene might be over before you can do anything useful. So take your chances.
Very nice. Well, we're looking forward to it. Thank you again for volunteering your time, spending some time with us after the fact, and we appreciate you, sir.
All right. Well, thanks, Glue, and best of luck on running this club and raising up some new paladins. Just plant them and water them.
All right, thank you again. And that is a big crack pal. That is a big crumble. That is not a fake crumble. Making a big Vanguard is coming for Beauty. So GG's to Beauty. 1:16:34 is the official time. While we were chatting away, Jazer, thank you so much for the raid. Appreciate you, my friend. And that ding ding means Beauty is in the boom.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friend.
Me and Asura aren't friends anymore. The one time I try and roll an Asura build for my white mage healing, it did eventually come through, but sheesh.
But
But,
right, so-
no, go ahead, please.
Beauty. You did it was a pretty jetty seed. Nothing really gated many of the objectives. There was just a handful of key items you needed to get going, and then a pathway to get to zero miss. You elected to get your levels on the moon. What was your thought process behind that, and why you were you trying to maybe just do the altars, do the monster boxes, do some fixed counters, maybe a little of both? What was your plan up there?
Well, I guess my thought is, did I miss the sirens, or were they just not present?
They were in M1.
They were. Okay, yeah. So I didn't take Hook because there was no incentive with the tail. And so not seeing sirens, I thought to myself, there's a lot of good experience up there. You got your ribbon room, your crystal sword altar, both of your edge sword altars, and then the Miabs, right? But the problem was, I earlier in the seed desperately tried to buy illusions, didn't work out, and those are what I needed without a white mage to take on the behemoths. And so that party just could not hack it. And it was interesting too, because even with the behemoths, they felt way faster than they should have been. So for a second, if you saw me going on my menu, I almost went and looked to see if Sid was at 0 agility, like I'd hit that sweet spot where you can put him there. And I was 99% sure, but it was just like, they're normally not that fast. What's going on here? And so, I think that was the idea. Also, of course, with adamant armors on the table, you are getting experience off those boxes. And if you pop an adamant, that is worth like about 3 boxes worth of experience alone. Also, X-Cal's good. Crystal Sword is that much better. So, just kind of hoping for the gear, the experience, all of that rolled into one, and it wasn't working out for me today.
Yeah, sometimes you get the carry warlock box, you hourglass it, you get your life potions off, and then you have a grand time. Sometimes you run the behemoths, that's one-shotting characters, and it's unfortunate. Some days you're the hammer, some days you're the nail. But nevertheless, well done all around. That was an amazing heads-up play there at the king spot to throw on the arty arrows and just absolutely destroy that Paladin. And I think you had maybe a minute in that fight, and Garen took noticeably longer, and that allowed you to get to the moon first. But unfortunately, the sirens were the one spot you didn't check, and it just sometimes randomizes things.
Yeah, and that's really. I think going into that spot, I wanted to see Plague least, but arrows are so great against Plague, right? And so, and we had a Kane too, so I would have had the damage dealing there. And hey, if Sid got a few more levels, who cares? We could have knocked him down. But I wasn't too afraid of any of the sparkles that were left. And so, I wanted to make sure that I didn't have a bad time, so I took the sparkle first, and knowing that I had the one coffin, I knew the guards were completely free. I was really tempted to take those guards the first time around. I knew I had coffins, but I just, if it was Baron guards, I knew I was dead. And if it was Kaipo, it's still a little bit of RNG luck that they won't knock you down. And I'm glad I waited because A, I got the information because I saw Baron guards, and B, that let me just kind of steamroll that Fey March.
Deathlike, do you have any questions on Beauty and his run tonight?
I guess the only question is, I think both of you peaked the bosses. Is your preference to peak the bosses in Fey March, or do you have a preference of having the levels not worry about the boss at that spot?
Typically number 2 for me, but I think because Magma Key came first and I was underground so quickly, then it becomes a little bit of like, check your freebies. I saw the Palom and I was like, cool, I can go take a Siren and get him online. And so that kind of forced me underground sooner. And then as a result, I went ahead for the peak. But yeah, usually if you're kind of standard progression, you get through all your overworld checks and then you are going underground, I'll go to Dwarf, get some more levels there, and try and be ready to take those Fate March bosses by the time I go down for the key item chest.
What I guess also, what does you were like? Basically, you went to swap Palom in essentially, well, still early on, like mid race. Like, what prompted that? I guess is the question.
Warp glitch. I have been bitten more times than I can count by not bringing my warp caster to Dwarf with me with that glitch on. And I should have thought of it when he came up, but I didn't. And I was like, you know what? Rydia's Blargan. I don't need another black mage. But then it came on and I was like, okay, I've got my anchor. At this point, I would rather have that warp caster. And actually, you know what? My brain is even that much more dead because obviously I had Rydia in the party. But I think having Quake and having Blarg was also a factor too. And so being able to kind of have that level of AoE damage, and I hadn't really seen the Cecil Sword. I just had the Artie, which was still amazing. I forget if I'd seen the White Spear at that point, so I was feeling like a little under level. I'm like, okay, if I get Quake Kid on, that's going to be really phenomenal damage. And what I didn't account for at the end there is the amount of levels it takes. And so that was me floundering and kind of giving up the win on Restream tonight. Was you gotta push them to nuke to really be as effective as you'd want them to be. And ultimately I kind of pushed it and I hit my nerf and I got extremely lucky with the tip and Z. If I hadn't tipped when exactly I did, I'd die. So got lucky.
Yeah, I think the ironic part, you didn't loot the treasury. Treasury, it happened to have, I think it had an Excal, so that would have been your go-to weapon. Maybe you wouldn't have needed the levels for both of your black mages to complete Z. Like it would have been probably be manageable, maybe. So yeah.
I did end up looting right before I did Zot, and so I had it, but it's
forgot.
I'll be honest, I'm soft and squishy and complacent, and so I wanted to be more comfortable. I'm not even going to front about it. I'm not my best at Z's, and I pulled out a decent one tonight, but I got more wipes than I care to account.
Yeah, it happens. Z fights, you can't underestimate Z's, even if you feel like you have everything going for you. It doesn't take much.
Exactly. So I feel like this is not the best performance to sell myself as a mentor going into Paladin Cup. So hopefully I don't get judged too harshly on this one. But sometimes you teach what you learn not to do as well through example. So for my future Paladin or future Dark Knight that I'm going to coax into becoming a Paladin, please don't count this against me too much.
We'll allow it.
Thank you.
We'll judge off the full body of work, not just tonight. But no, you're selling yourself short, my friend. Very well done. Obviously, Durin's a top shelf runner. Sometimes it takes luck and skill, and just fortunate tonight the luck wasn't on your side to take him down. But that's going to be a story for a lot of players against Kieran. So Very well done. Before we let you go, Beauty, is there anything else you want to give a shout out to happenings that you want to mention?
Just want to shout out, of course, that we have Community Club season coming up. I'm sure we've been talking about it quite a bit. Coco Express, another really phenomenal flag set that is newer player friendly, is already live and kicking. A lot of others are starting to spin up. I believe Garen's Club, her Hero Survivor Hero Island, I think, is already spun up. And I'm really excited for Crystal Warrior, put on by IM Demar, as who's kind of the architect of a lot of the flag sets for our tournament, the Edelon Express Grand Prix. That is his club, and you'll see a lot of familiarities if you played Mega Flyer rallies. So really excited to see all of that, to be back to community races being restreamed. Obviously, tournament kind of is more important in that respect, but there's a lot of exciting things going on the Discord. So very happy to see that and looking forward to it.
Yeah, very well said. And thank you again for your time tonight, Beauty. Thank you for volunteering to be on Restream. And then thank you most of all for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you to all of you in the booth who put in the volunteer time and effort to put the show on. We couldn't do this without you, so I greatly appreciate it. And I hope you all have a great rest of your night.
Yeah. Also, special thank you to Curios for tracking tonight, hopping on in short notice, and then obviously Firebird Lover for restreaming and rotoing us up all tonight and putting on the restream. We appreciate you, both of you guys. We're gonna raid on over to Professor Wiggle, who is an actual real life professor, by the way. So he's not only really smart, he's also learning for Enterprise. So let's go pay him a visit. He is finishing up the community race that we just aired. I think this is going to be his third for Enterprise Seed. So let's see where he's at. Let's see how he's doing. Let's give him a follow. Let's say hi and yeah, enjoy the rest of our Friday night. And thank you everybody for joining us.